After 3 long months, Black Clover has finally returned with brand new chapters. Didn't give us just 2 chapters this time. This time we got 3. And my god, these might have been the best batch of chapters that we've gotten ever since Black Clover went quarterly. Maybe even of this current arc, in my opinion. Because so much stuff happened. We had some really great action sequences. Some great moments between Yami and Ichika. We got some great Nacht stuff. And the conclusion to this fight was honestly really, really cool, and I'm just way too excited to go through these chapters with you guys. Before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel, and it shows you want to see more. Now with all that out of the way, let's just jump straight into this really cool batch of chapters. Starting off with chapter 374 of Black Clover, titled Demon God. And we got another color spread, this time of the Yami siblings with Nacht and Morgan, with some autumn leaves falling all over. This is probably one of the best looking color page Dakota has given us, and he's given us some really great cover pages over the last couple of chapters, but I think this one probably takes the cake. We start things off directly after Finral ends up teleporting all the members of the Black Bulls to various locations to help fight Lucius, his clones, and the Paladins, with Morgan noticing Nacht, and Nacht noticing that Morgan was revived as a Paladin. Ichika looks down and notices Yami on the ground, gravely wounded. And as she notices this, a Lucius clone appears right beside Paladin Morgan, stating as former Grey Deer, "Let's take them on together." As Nacht sees that there's a Lucius clone paired up with the Paladin, he then begins to act with the 4 devils he has contracted with, as he activates his monozone Dark Prison Hunting Ground, launching a bunch of dark hands to trap Lucius and Morgan, telling Ichika that he's gonna keep them busy, and in the meantime for her to tend to Yami. And so she goes down to check on him, as Yami feels like he's hallucinating, thinking that he's so gravely injured that now he's starting to hallucinate his own sister, but he then realizes and senses her key, noticing that this is the actual Ichika, telling him to snap out of it. He then asks why she is in the Clover Kingdom, as she tells him that the Black Bulls brought her an asta here with them. Yami bloodied is smiling, stating that that kid was alive after all, huh? Those idiots do good work. And Ichika then apologizes to her brother, stating that he only killed their father after he just gone insane, and that she was the one that massacred their clan to begin with, but he took the blame for it and then left their homeland, stating that he was her benefactor and she knew nothing about it and she still resented him, apologizing, saying that she really is sorry, on the verge of tears. Yami says there's no need for that because he asked Ryu to help him out. We then cut back to all those years ago after the destruction of Yami's clan, as Ryu is sending off Yami, with Yami stating that once he leaves, he's gonna promise to come back and get incredibly strong and live the life that he wants to. And then when Ryu is Shogun, he'll come right back to pay him a visit. Ryu states that him and Ichika will be waiting for him. Cutting back to the present, as Yami is still bleeding out, he thanks Ryu. Ichika is panicking over the fact that Yami is bleeding so much, as she states that in an emergency, Ryu gave her something in a pouch to give to Yami. But then she realizes it's the demon pill that the clan ended up using that essentially makes them go berserk and enhances their abilities, which is what caused her to wipe out her clan in the first place and go insane. As she questions why Ryu would give her this pill, but Yami instantly realizes what's going on. He says, "So you mean I can handle it now, huh, Ryu?" as he grabs the pill and then bites down on it, confusing Ichika, as then dark aura begins to erupt around him. As we get a bit more of a recap over the demon pills, saying that they don't work how his father stated it would. It doesn't boost your impulse to kill, only that your physical abilities go berserk and you lose your mind, as his aura begins to erupt. And in doing so, his mana begins to end up not just increasing, but his wound is beginning to heal incredibly quickly, stating that no one in the Yami clan was ever able to control it. But now Yami, getting a surge of power, thinks, what if you did manage to stay sane after taking this pill? And as Yami's healing and getting this power from the pill, the Lucius clone ends up breaking out of Nacht's monozone. As he heads down stating, I haven't greeted Yami's sister yet, even though I owe him so much. Hello there. As he then begins to drop down to try and kill Yami and Ichika in one fell swoop. And as he's going in for the kill after Ichika manages to pull Yami away, he doesn't have enough time to react in this instance. It's then that Yami's hand appears in front of her, grabbing her head to protect her, as he says, back then, all I could do was shoulder your guilt. As in the next page, we see Yami with his brand new demon form as he's ready to slash Lucius as he's protecting his sister. Now this form looks really, really cool. And while this is definitely something that I was expecting and many Black Clover fans were really expecting to happen again, let me just do a quick refresher as to how this is possible. So dark magic was enhanced with this pill, and it was done thanks to the corrupted waters from that demon creature that was in the lakes of the Land of the Sun. But since the pill essentially made their mana go and completely crazy, having them go insane, the fact that Yami has the demon heart thanks to him being exposed to the Tree of Qliphoth for so long during that ritual when he was captured, essentially made him partially a devil. So with this pill, it was able to increase that power and give him the chance to actually manifest that, giving him this brand new demon form. And fans have been waiting for that whole thing about his heart to be paid off, and this was a really cool way to bring it all full circle. Now look, while I love this form, I do kind of think we could have gotten a cooler form, but as it stands, I don't mind it. It doesn't feel too much, it doesn't feel too little. I think it is a good balance for the design. But in this instance, Yami raises his sword and then slashes the Lucius clone, essentially one-shotting it. As he says to his sister, this time, I'm protecting you. And that ends chapter 374, as we move on to chapter 375. As this chapter is titled, Punishment. As this starts a couple minutes before Yami slices the Lucius clone, as Nacht is facing down against Morgan. As he says that form, alongside dark magic, he realizes that the one controlling Morgan Paladin is Lucifugus, the devil that his family essentially had him to try and contract with a binding ritual which led to his brother's death. As he grits his teeth, Nacht just says this is no longer Morgan, so he's going to defeat him right along with Lucius's clone, even if it kills him, as he goes into a union form combining Gallus, Felis, and Canis, the dog, the cat, and the bird. And I'm not gonna lie, this probably is my favorite out of Nacht's combo union forms. It just looks so goddamn cool. I need this to be a poster, and I was outside of the Yami form, this could have been placed on the thumbnail, but I feel like it would have been too cluttered if I added that in there. But either way, it's really, really damn cool. We then get a 2-page spread showcasing Lucius and Morgan fighting Nacht within his monozone, with multiple clashes of light within the darkness. But as this goes on, Morgan tells his brother that it looks like he's hurting. You still blame yourself, don't you? At the end of this clash, Morgan says, I'll set you free. As seemingly in this clash is when the Lucius clone escaped to attack Yami. As we then cut back to the present with the Lucius clone after being cut down by Yami in his new demon mode. Lucius clone tells him that he really has gotten strong. You're incredible, Yami. But Yami tells him to shut up and not to talk with Julius's face. The Lucius clone laughs, says, you and I may be strong, but Morgan is stronger than both of us now, as Nacht's monozone begins to dissipate from the light from Morgan, with Nacht falling from the sky. As Morgan, based off this dialogue, implies that with the powers that Morgan has right now, he surpasses the Lucius clones. Now, it's never been said that the Lucius clones are as strong as Lucius himself. I'd assume they're beneath him, or at least equal strength with the Paladins for the most part. But with how we'll see Morgan utilize his powers, It seems that this power that Morgan has surpasses the Lucius clones, which is crazy to believe based off of that dialogue, and for Lucius himself, even though it's his clone, to actually state. Ichika is shocked to see Nacht fall as he has anti-magic infused with him, yet he's still lost so easily. But Yami knows that's not really the case. As Nacht's falling from the sky, he says, "As a magic knight of the Clover Kingdom, as the vice captain of the Black Bulls, I must defeat Morgan. I know that." But he envisions his brother as he once was, saying, "I've already killed my brother once, I can't kill him again," as he is beginning to cry. As he flashes back to the day of that ritual where Morgan stopped him from doing so, giving his life to essentially save his brother's soul, he says, "Damn it, I thought my tears had run dry back then." As Morgan says, "Let's start over again, together," launching a beam of light square at Nacht, with Yami being able to deflect it, saving Nacht at the last moment. Now, while we did get some really nice, essentially, closure with Yami and Ichika, and Yami getting his new demon mode, the fact that Nacht is essentially having to face his brother after all these years of shouldering the guilt of his death, still not being able to bring himself to fight, even though this Morgan isn't the true Morgan, he died a long time ago, he can't help but just feel guilty and not want to harm his brother. Even after everything he's been through, even after Asta, after being part of the Black Bulls, after living all these years, and essentially slowly moving on, he still can't shatter through that sense of guilt and just not shoulder it. He still blames himself for his brother's death, and even now it's still destroying him from the inside, even though he seems to have been fine this entire time. It's really great to see Nacht still have this whole realm of guilt within him, and really adds a bit more depth to him as we initially thought, and I just feel like this is the perfect matchup for Nacht and Yami to face in this instance, as they're literally confronting the person that the two of them value the most in the entire world. Well, Yami outside of his sister, but still, it's incredibly heart-wrenching to see. Now back to the chapter, Nacht is surprised that Yami was able to take out the Lucius clone that fast. Then Yami ends up creating a shroud of darkness to get ready to fight, and tries to pick Nacht up. Yami tells him, "Does it really look like any time to cry, rich kid, loser?" Morgan's already, as he's about to say, he's already dead. Nacht says, I know that, but Yami just says, "Are you planning to let Morgan kill people?" As this seems to kind of snap Nacht back into reality, as Yami keeps saying, he lived to save people. He was basically good incarnate, as we see Morgan how he was in the past. Yami doubles down by saying that he's dead. Morgan is dead, and that Nacht chose to shoulder that sin for the rest of his life, and he's got to be the one to stop him. As we see this torn up look on Nacht's face, Yami tells him that he's pathetic, stating that you're all freaked out because you're by yourself. But he says, "This is why I'm here. We'll fight him together." Nacht grits his teeth as Morgan begins to lunge towards Yami and breaks Yami through a building as the two of them begin to fight. Yami says, "The one who makes me sick here is Lucius, doing all this crap while he's wearing Julius's face, and now he's even desecrating the dead. Morgan, there's no way I could forget you," as he is holding his own against Morgan in this instance as they're clashing blades. As Yami goes on to say, "But the one thing I can do for you while that scumbag's using you is put you down so you can rest in peace," as Yami, engulfed in darkness, is creating a giant dark ball, which might be similar to his monozone, the Black Moon. At least that's my assumption, at least. And that ends chapter 375. We get Nacht with a quick clash with Lucius and Morgan. Nacht collapsing over the fact of having to face and potentially kill his brother again after shouldering the guilt of what happened when his brother saved him. Yami popping in to try and lift him back up, and getting ready to face his best friend's essential zombie being manipulated by a purified devil. And this brings us square into chapter 376, the final chapter of this batch, Atonement. This chapter starts us off with Nacht having inner dialogue, stating of a dream that he's had multiple times. I joined the Great Deer along with Yami and Nacht. We fight over Morgan, and Morgan just smiles the way he always does. And when I wake up, I despair, as Nacht is looking on at the destroyed Clover Kingdom as Yami and the revived Paladin Morgan are squaring off. Morgan goes on to spout the same crap that Lucius has all of his paladins spout, saying that Master Lucius is no scumbag Yami. He is the savior who will bring true peace to this world, as Yami then prepares and launches a Dark Cloak Dimension Slash square at Morgan. But Morgan then uses his darkness magic to block the Dimension Slash, saying that Lucius granted him absolute magic and this power. And Yami says that dragging stuff in and swallowing it whole is what dark magic does best. Morgan says my own magic is light and dark, using this magic of creation, and in a 2-page spread, he says, I will clear the way to the ideal world. As with a Strata of Darkness, he then launches a barrage of light-based attacks square at Yami as he begins to dodge all of them, and even parry some. As, thanks to his Black Moon and his Monozone, he manages to avoid. But he says that attack happened at light speed, this was all I could do to block it with my Black Moon. He's not leaving me any openings. Now obviously this piece of dialogue has very heavy implications for power scalers in the Black Clover community, because very early on it's very clear that, well, a lot of Black Clover characters are faster than Light, or faster than Light Plus, but this essentially states that they're at least Light Speed at this point in the final arc, which is crazy. I think it's because the stronger someone is, the faster their attacks are, even speed of light, but this is a confusing choice of phrasing. For all we know, it could be a mistranslation, but either way, this is gonna boggle a lot of power scalers and also be used against Black Clover for the annoying parts of the power scaler community, which I do not look forward to. Yami then says that light shines brightest in the darkness, that right now Morgan's even stronger than the Lucius clone that he cut down. So once more, doubling down that Morgan right now is probably the strongest character on this battlefield by himself, not counting the true Lucius that is somewhere hovering above the stratosphere of the world. And as this fight is going on, Nacht is staring on, seeing his brother and essential second best friend face off in a death match. Ichika appears behind him, saying, I don't know much about your relationship to my brother, but from what Asta told me, after her brother defended her and was driven from their homeland, even in a foreign land he knew nothing about, he inspired all sorts of people, saying that she almost made her brother shoulder everything by himself again. Saying, I can't possibly just stand by and watch as if I were some tragic princess, as she begins to don her samurai armor and take on her Stark samurai form. And I love how Ichika describes how Asta talks about Yami, how, and this is something that we all feel reading Black Clover, this guy has inspired so many people in this series to bring out the best in them, to have them surpass their limits, literally the saying of this entire series. And it's a reason why Yami is a fan favorite character, why everybody loves him. Literally, if I were in the Black Clover world, I would follow that guy to the depths of hell. The guy's a natural born leader, even though he's not the most tactful person in the world, but he's got good instincts, he knows how to read people, and he does what he can to draw out the best in them and help them grow. That is definitely the biggest strength of Yami, and that's definitely what helps shine Asta even brighter. And that's what makes him the perfect captain for the Black Bulls of all groups. And I just love how this is constantly doubled down by everybody he knows, and Ichika 100% knows this too, which is what helps inspire her to move forward. Back to the chapter, as Nacht is still kind of collapsing on the ground after everything that's happened, Yami is still dodging all of Morgan's light-based attacks and even deflecting a few of them and parrying some of Morgan's attacks. And as Morgan says it's over with him charging forward with a barrage of light attacks going towards Yami, Ichika appears using her dark Yojutsu, Black Star, to force all the light attacks into the ground, saving her brother. As she says, "I didn't come to be protected, I'm here to help. I'll fight alongside you, brother." As Yami laughs, saying, "Man, you're all grown up." As he yells, stating, "We may not look alike, but our Yojutsu and magic sure do." As they perform a dark combo spell, Black Heavens, showing Yami's Black Moon and all the dark sphere stars that Ichika created, as this panel goes so goddamn hard. The Yami siblings exude so much aura, and seeing them fight together is something that I really wanted to see, and Tabata is delivering beyond a doubt. As we then get another 2-page spread, showcasing in a few panels, Yami and Ichika clashing against Morgan and his light magic and dark magic in a huge barrage. As the two of them say, even if we can't swallow it whole, we can knock it off course. With Nacht looking on at this clash, as he says, "I'm sorry. I was trying to take the easy way out, telling myself I could die at any time. Tears don't mark the end of sin." As Nacht gets back up, unleashing a quadruple devil union with Gallus, Phyllis, Canis, and Equus. As Yami says, "You're late, partner." As in a 2-page spread, Nacht appears alongside Yami and Ichika in his brand new union form. And while this is cool, it's kind of underwhelming for me, because I think I prefer all of his other union forms outside of this one. While I enjoy it, I think it's cool, it's not the best, in my opinion. Heck, the one we got in the previous chapter, the triple fusion, was literally the best one in my opinion, but either way, he's utilizing all the powers at once, so I can't be too mad, and this is basically the culmination of Nacht's character development. Getting ready to not just shoulder all the sins, but not to take the easy way out. To take out and put his brother to rest, and choose to live his life with the means to live. Not acting like he's on borrowed time and that he can die at any time, to take the easy way out like he just said. And I think that's really great, as Nacht's character just comes full circle, essentially completing his character arc. Morgan looks at this as he says, "I knew it. Brother, you're the one with the greatest talent for magic." Obviously referring to Nacht's shadow magic, plus the devil magic that he has as well. As in another insane 2-page spread, the Yami siblings, Nacht and Morgan, begin to clash in a barrage of light and darkness, as they use a combo spell, Dark Shadow Magic Walpurgis Night. And my god, are all of these clashes insane and hard to follow. I have no idea how the anime is going to adapt this, because this just looks absolutely insane. Which, another side note, Tabata has been going absolutely wild with the art with these new chapters, showcasing that the time he's taking to draw them is well worth it, and that him going quarterly was definitely the right choice for Black Clover. As they all charge at each other, Morgan says that this is impressive, as he begins to think, "So that everyone may smile in true peace, the glory of that day, that dream. I'll surpass them on my own." Thinking back to his initial goals and promise back when he was alive, despite him being twisted by Lucius, he still technically has that dream of his, despite it being warped and corrupted by Lucius's worldview. And as Morgan charges at Nacht, we then get the words, "The brighter the light, the deeper the shadow it casts." As from behind Morgan, Nacht appears, stabbing him with a giant blade, seemingly dealing the death blow. As he tells goodbye to his brother Morgan, stating, "I will shoulder this pain forever," ending the chapter. Oh man, these chapters of Black Clover have been just incredible. I loved this batch of chapters, definitely my favorites, and that's saying something considering that the Noelle batch that we got in the previous quarterly release was honestly some of the best stuff we've had for Noelle in a while, and it was an insane fight for that. This fight felt perfect to me. It felt well paced. We got some great stuff with Yami and Ichika. Nacht's development has essentially completed as he faces Morgan's Paladin, with Morgan seemingly being defeated. Now here's the thing, unlike the last 2 Paladin fights that we've gotten in these last couple of batches, this doesn't show Morgan being disintegrated or destroyed, just stabbed through the chest. There's always a possibility that a Lucius Clover could appear and just heal Morgan and have them keep fighting, but I would love if this fight was more conclusive. There are theories that the Paladins can still get revived, considering that Lucius already brought these characters back from the death already, so that possibility is still way out there. But as of right now, for all the named Paladins that we have right now, I believe that's it, leaving only Lucius clones left to be remained, while Asta and go off to fight the actual Lucius. And with us seemingly getting more chapters based off of how things are going, the next batch hopefully will have 3 chapters as well, and that might end up concluding another big fight for this arc as we move closer and closer to Asta and versus Lucius to bring out the end of this conflict. Now it's going to be a long wait once more, but I will always be here to talk about Black Clover with you guys, and I cannot wait for the next batch of chapters to see what comes next. But what did you guys think of this chapter? How did you feel about the fight and the artwork? How do you feel about Yami's new demon mode and Nacht's brand new union forms that were showcased in this chapter? How do you feel about the fight in total and Nacht's character development? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below, as well as what do you think will happen next. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. With all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.